Hey guys, I hope we are all good and staying safe out there. Now today I wanted to run you through a few injury prevention movements if you're an emergency service worker, maybe you're in the police, maybe you're a paramedic, maybe you don't want to get hurt at work. And if you are one of those and you're here looking for some fitness advice and maybe some diet advice and a bit of lifestyle stuff, maybe stick around and hit subscribe. You might find some of the other stuff useful. And I get there's not loads on here just yet, but I am trying to get 1 to 2 videos out per week. And if you've come from my Instagram, then welcome back for some longer form stuff where I don't have to try and cram everything into 2 minutes or so. So look, as we all know, injuries happen on the job. You might get assaulted, unfortunately, and sometimes we're just unfortunate. You've got a load of kit on, you've got a lot of extra weight to carry, you've got these big old boots on. It's very easy to hurt ourselves. And typically injuries that we sustain will be more in the lower body, just because that's our base and we're having to support the rest of our body via that construct. So whilst this is not a be all and end all to injury prevention advice, because injuries will happen, I've injured myself in the police, nothing drastic luckily, but I still have a very tight ankle as a result of a pretty violent offender assaulting me and me landing a very dodgy kick on him in a heavy pair of Lauer boots. And if you know about Lauer boots, you know how bloody heavy they are. It's like another 10 kilos on your feet. So what I've done here, guys, I've listed a few movements and we'll go through those I've kind of done like a video in the background almost, where I'll be talking over it to coach you through it. But some of these movements will be great at building your stability in the lower body, some coordination and some balance too. But like I said, whilst these might help you to be a little bit more resilient, sometimes we are just unfortunate. And the goal here is to reduce the chances of you having an injury, or at least reduce the severity of said injury. So let's get into it. So firstly, I would recommend going through some mobility exercises. In terms of where you'd add these into your training, you can actually do these outside of the gym at home because they only take a few minutes. You can even do these if you're sat in the office typing up a report, if you've got a minute or so just to hold a squat position or something like that. Now, these sorts of movements are here to stop you from being really tight, to get you nice and loose, and just to improve your flexibility as well. Because if we are so recoiled in, we're tight, we're tense, chances of injury are going to be a lot higher. Whereas if we're a bit looser, a little bit more relaxed, we're more mobile, we're going to be less likely to run into niggles and pains and injuries. So up first, we have a deep squat hold. This is one of my favorites. I do this a lot. Like, I am at the desk for like 9 or 10 hours a day most days. So I get quite tight hips and quite tight lower back. So these are one of my favorites. Now, whilst these are great for your lower back and your hips, they're also fantastic for our knee and ankle mobility too, just because we get used to having ourselves in a squat position, something we don't often find ourselves in this day and age where we are in this country. If you look abroad in, say, a lot of Asian countries, they'll be fantastic for this position because it's something that's been kept into their culture as time's gone on. And I can imagine they don't have many trips to the osteopath there. So maybe we can take a leaf out of their book and start utilizing a deep squat movement a little bit more in our day-to-day lives. So for these, you want to essentially go as low as you can go. You can have a little bit of rounding in the lower back at the bottom, but if you are just getting started with these, I would recommend just holding on to something. So if you're in the gym, this could be holding on to a squat rack or a machine. If you're at home, it might be something like a bookcase, what I've got behind me, or maybe a stair banister, for example. Just something to help your balance a little bit with that movement. As you progress, I'd recommend trying to stick your chest out and maybe looking up just to loosen up your spine a little bit. And if you want to have a play around, you can always just move around whilst you're in the bottom of that squat position. This will just help to loosen the hips up and just move the ankles around a little bit as well. If you're adding these into your workout in the gym, I'd recommend just doing these as part of your warm-up. Up next, we have another ankle mobility movement, knees over toes. So whilst these are great for ankle mobility and loosening that area up a little bit, they're also great for our hip flexors because they inadvertently get a stretch there too, which is great if you're someone that's sat down a lot. Maybe you're at a desk a lot typing up reports, or you're sat in the car going from job to job. You're going to get tight hips. So this is one to include. A bit of a Maris Piper stretch, a bit of an all-rounder. You know, they're good. Maris Pipers are good for mashing, good for chips, good for roast potatoes. You can't beat them. So for these, I'd recommend having a mat just so you don't bust a kneecap open or something. Or if you're just doing these at home in your living room, you could just use a pillow or a hoodie, just anything to cushion your knee. So we'll go into a little bit of a deep lunge position here. And the goal over time is to eventually get your knees over your toes whilst keeping your heel firmly on the ground. As you get into this, you should feel a really nice stretch through the top of your ankle. And if you're new to these and you just want to start building up a little bit of confidence with them, I'd recommend some pulses. This is basically where we might push in for a second, then come back, push in and trying to get a little bit further, then come back. In all fairness, anyone could be doing those as they feel great, but you might find it just helps you to build up to a little bit of a better stretch. So for these, you could be doing, say, a minute per side, and again, just throwing these in either at home or maybe part of your warm-up in the gym. So up next, we have some dynamic kind of plyometric movements where there's going to be a little bit of explosiveness, but also a little bit of balance and coordination there as well. And the first one I could definitely get better at, and I'm sure the video will give you a bit of a chuckle because it's been a while since I've done these. So we've got some lateral jumps first. Now, these look really cool when you get good at them, so not like me in the video. But we're essentially hopping from side to side in a bit of an explosive manner. The goal here is to land on the foot without the other foot coming down, so you're working on a little bit of balance there as well, and some stability through your knee and ankle to keep you stable as you land. You'll then hop back to the other side and repeat. These are great if you're warming up for a run or generally just want to look cool in the gym. I'd recommend starting at 5 reps per side. And again, I would add these in before you go into your main training. So you'd warm up, maybe do a bit of mobility, then you can go into some plyometric or dynamic work whilst you're fresh. And then I'd recommend going into, say, your strength training. Another movement you could add in are just some simple box jumps. Now, I'm using a bench here because I don't have a box. And if I did have a box, I would probably be going through the ceiling because the garage gym ceiling isn't the highest. So for these, you want to go into a little bit of a kind of half squat position, jump up from there, land solid on the box with soft knees. Try not to go into a squat position on here, guys. Now, when you're using an actual plyometric box, like the one just here, you want to make sure that your feet are firmly on there. So don't let your heels be hanging off the box. Just then we are nice and stable on there and we're not going to fall off or the box is going to topple over. But I'd recommend stepping back down instead of jumping off just to reduce the pressure on your knees and going back again. Again, maybe 2 sets of 5 at the start of your session would be a good add-on. And lastly, guys, we can't neglect just some simple strength work in the form of some single leg exercises. These are going to build strength, balance, and coordination more equally on both sides. Now, you'll probably still want to have some kind of squat movement or leg press or goblet squat in the plan, just because they are good compound movements and you can build a lot of strength from them. But you definitely want to have some single leg movements in as well, just to help with your balance. So if you're just getting started with these, I'd recommend doing some step ups. Again, don't use a bench for these, just because it can rip the upholstery. I'd recommend using a box, and you're literally just doing that. You're stepping up onto it. If you want to mix these up a little bit and work on your balance a bit more, you can just hover the non-working leg above the box, so you're not actually having to plant your foot down. Now, these are great for anyone really, but if we're thinking directly to work, if you're having to go up flights of stairs, to a top floor flat, for example, you've got all of your extra kit on. If you're doing a warrant, you might have the enforcer with you and probably some shields. So you're going to be a lot heavier. We get good at these, you get good at going up flights of stairs without gassing out. So then you're ready for whatever's on the other side of that door. As you get stronger at these, you can add dumbbells or kettlebells to hold. Up next, we have some lunges. Now, with these, if you have plenty of space and you've got somewhere you can kind of walk back and forth, you can do forward lunges or walking lunges, sorry. For me, I prefer reverse lunges just because I haven't got a ton of space in the garage. I've got quite long legs, so I'd be doing like 2 lunges and then having to walk back again. It would just be pointless. Again, very, very similar movement to the step ups. It's working the body in a pretty much the same way. It's just a different variation of a single leg movement. And again, as you progress, you can start adding weight to these. And lastly, these are the ones that my clients love to hate just because they are so effective, but they suck when you're doing them, is a Bulgarian split squat. Now, there's loads of different ways you can do these. I'm just going to show you a simple bodyweight variation where all you'll need is your fine self and a bench. You're going to pop your back leg up onto the bench, take a good step forward with the front leg, and then you're going to go into a lunge. You're going to lower yourself down as far as you can go. So for me, where I've got quite long legs, I'm usually aiming to tap my knee on the floor and then coming back up. If you're new to these or you're progressing to them and want to have a practice, I would recommend just loosely having something nearby to hold on to. So in this video, I've just held on to the rack to the right of me. Again, as you progress, you can add weight to these. You can do these with a barbell on your back. You can do these holding a dumbbell in either hand or one heavy dumbbell in the non-working side hand, kettlebells, or you can do them on a Smith machine, so then you've got a nice straight path. Completely up to you. Now, in terms of where to add these into your training, I would just add these into your main workout just because they are quite taxing. And they are more strength focused as well, amongst some of your other movements. Totally down to you what you go for with sets and reps. I'd say maybe aim for 2 or 3 sets of 10 reps per side before you then start adding weight to them. So you make sure you've built your confidence up with your body weight first. You've mastered the technique. They're slow, they're controlled. You feel like you've got things locked down, and then you can go make them harder, and then you can get stronger. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much that. Like I said, I just wanted to go into a bit more detail with this, so you've got the exercise cues and a bit more information about injury prevention stuff. But it's pretty simple on the face of it. It's not tons of stuff you need to do, and if you're already exercising and you're already training or running, you're already going to be at an advantage. These are just a few more specific bits that you could be adding in. So anyway, I hope this has really helped. And if you're an emergency service worker, you're interested in this sort of stuff, please hit subscribe. It'd be great to have you here. I'm looking to just build a little bit of a community and get some useful content out for you guys. Because I know it's confusing knowing what's best to do or how to fit stuff in around shift work. And if you are in need of an extra hand, you want a bit more one-to-one support, it's what myself and my wife Charley, who also coaches with us, do for a living. There is a link below on Calendly if you wanted to book in an inquiry call. You don't need to pay for this or anything. I don't want to force you to sign up for coaching or anything like that. But if you are keen to see what it looks like, we can have a little bit of a chat about your goals, a few recommendations about where you should probably start, and then I can run you through how things work with us. And you know, you can join if it sounds good. But anyway, take care guys, stay safe, and honestly, I just appreciate you watching this video and taking the time out of your day for it.